Oh, wait, there's Annette. All right, get Annette in here. Add to the stream. Hello. Oh, Annette's got a hood. This onesie doesn't have a hood. Nice. Onesie Wednesday.
Hello.
Nice to see you. Literally, in this case. But yeah, there we go. We've got daiquiris. I'm just looking up cocktail recipes. Old-fashioned. We know an old-fashioned. Oh, here we go. Some variations on old-fashioned. Ooh, Megaleech has got a onesie. Megaleech has got a onesie. There we go. There we go. Megaleech with a onesie as well.
Yes.
Nice.
Panda.
Hello.
Yay, bears.
Okay. Whiskey, brandy, and sugar. Okay. Man, I'm just looking for inspiration for my next cocktail video. I need to make something with bourbon. A Saratoga, rye whiskey, cognac, sweet vermouth, and bitters. That sounds pretty classy.
I got the cutest little bottle of bourbon. I have to show you. I'll go get it.
I just emptied my little baby bottle of the Jim Beam small batch.
That was the one you liked the best in that other drink, wasn't it?
Yes, yes. I use that and overproof rum and standard Jim Beam. Yes, Adele, onesies are awesome. And
very hot.
Yes, see, that's why I'm not wearing my hoodie. Oh, another onesie in the background. Hello, Onesie Wednesday.
Come here. Come here and say hello, because you went off screen there. Oh, there you are.
Oh, there we are. Tigger onesie. Nice. Nice. I do have a Totoro onesie, which is a big woolly one like everyone else is wearing with a hood. But this was to actually pose while I was putting out the bins tonight. I was posing as the Grim Reaper putting out the bins.
Oh, the bins, of course. I keep forgetting about the bins. They're dressing up for the bins.
So
anyway, here's my bottle of
That is cool. I like that. That is very cool.
That's the bomb.
The bomb, yeah.
I had to get it when I saw it. Oh, because I'm a sucker like that.
Ooh.
Cute bottles.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's very cool. I'd probably buy that if I saw it. I've just never seen that one. That is pretty cool.
My local bottler had a whole, oh, that's right. I've got quarantine hair. I've got to cover it up. So, yeah, my local bottler had a whole bucket of them.
Yep, nice. A bucket of hand grenades. That sounds really dangerous. Oh, I'm looking at Adele reviewing the drink we're making. It needs a bit more sweetness. Yeah, put like 10 or 15 mils, like half an ounce of, if you make it again, 10 or 15 mils of simple syrup. Or actually your idea of like a spoon of raspberry jam, like a teaspoon of raspberry jam. Actually, maybe raspberry jam would be even better. Just like a spoon of raspberry jam, shaky, 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 and then strain it out so you don't get the seeds in there. Yeah, no, I think you're onto a winner there, Adele. If it needed a little bit of sweetening, just a spoon of raspberry jam, and you'd be on a winner. You're having fun there. Is it Onesie Wednesday is all about fun. So
yeah. I'm torturing my Aspie child with hugs.
All right. both loves them and hates them. I love the names of some of these. I could try this one, the Red Ant, which is whiskey, cherry liqueur, Kirschwasser, which I think I could just, that's a particular sort of fruit brandy from Europe. I could just cheat and use a different fruit brandy. Mezcal, the smoky Mexican cousin of tequila. Syrup and chocolate bitters. That sounds like a beast. I love this one. His little paragraphs on this one. The cocktail renaissance boosted the profile of two long-ignored spirits, rye whiskey, which had largely been absent from American glasses since Prohibition, and mezcal, that misunderstood Mexican spirit that didn't come into its own in the US until the 21st century. Rye and mezcal merely meet in the mixing glass, but this drink from New York bartender Thomas Waugh, formerly of Alambic in San Francisco and later at New York City. I used to Death & Co. They're really famous. Before opening the Jules Verne-esque Zzz's Clam Bar in 2014, manages to straddle the divide with sweetness from Danish cherry liqueur, little funk from unaged cherry brandy. Okay, Kirschwasser is cherry brandy. So this is very heavy on the cherry. I'd have to do a variant because I don't have any cherry. I have cherry liqueur, and I could put apple brandy in there as well. Red Ant named for Rio Hormiga Colorado, the Red Ant River in Oaxaca. There you go. Red Ant River is Rio Hormiga Colorado. Yeah. So that's one of those things. That means the Colorado River is actually the river. That happens all around the world, like the Avon River in the UK. Avon was just the Old English word for river, like the Romans, when they were, colonizing England, asked the locals, what's the name of this river? And then Avon. And they go, okay, it's the Avon River. And it wasn't until years later that Avon just meant river. Like, the guys, it's the river. What do you mean? What is it? And so Avon River is river. So Colorado is apparently Spanish for river. So the Colorado River is the river, the one that runs through the Grand Canyon. And apparently that's all around the world. There are lots of places where people have named a river after a local word that they thought meant someone else. And years down the track, they found out it just meant river. So the place is called River. So, yeah.
Who's got the noise going on in the background?
Not me.
I can hear kids going.
Megaleech says, I don't know, as he mutes the microphone.
It might be what they're watching in the lounge room. I'll go shut the door.
What overly exciting thing are they watching on the lounge room?
I have no idea.
No.
I think it's probably anime or something.
Yeah, there's a lot of good anime about. God, now I'm in rumland. These are all rum drinks, which is, of course, a wonderful thing. So many pages. I've got to do this one at some point, the Trinidad Sour, which is almost all bitters. Like, normally you only put a dash or two of bitters in. This one is 1.5 ounces or 1.5 shots of Angostura bitters. Shelf warmer, you remember Barbecue Area? That is a pretty... Was that from the 80s or the 90s? It's a pretty funny comedy pseudo-documentary about an alternate timeline where Aborigines were the colonizers and sort of like white bogans were already in Australia when colonizing blackfella ships came in. And when the ships came in, the bogan Aussies, white Aussies, were cooking a barbie on the beach, and the captain of the blackfella ship says, "So what do you fellas call this place?" And the guy sort of points, "Barbecue Area." And he goes, "Yes, this land is henceforth known as Barbecue Area." And they spell it in indigenous ways. It's like BABAKIUERA. So the country becomes known as Barbecue Area. It's very funny. It's basically, it's highlighting you don't realize how stupid the things you're saying about Indigenous Australians are until they're flipped, and they're the ones with the power who are marginalising the white people because of their stupid primitive ways. It's probably on YouTube. You can probably find it on YouTube.
Have you ever seen Britannia?
Oh, love Britannia. Yes.
Yeah.
A very free and easy fictionalized dramatization of the Roman invasion. Timothy is joining us. Let's add Timothy. Now we're getting more Brady Bunch. Timoth, how's it going?
Oh, yes, it's wider now, so you can fit in.
Yeah, now we're wide. That's the funny thing. If there's an odd number of people, it like squishes us in narrowly, but we get back to an even number. We've got the nice wide thing happening. Clint Eastwood, whiskey and show.
It was Blue Exorcist, the animated she was watching in the other room.
Do you know that one, Shaylee? Blue Exorcist.
Yeah.
Shaylee likes some anime too.
There you go.
Yeah, it's God, my dog's being vicious.
My cat Mimsy, who's not here, who hasn't appeared on a live stream forever because she's rude. When I was working today and having meetings, she came up. She almost never wants to jump on my lap, but she just came up next to me and wanted to jump on my lap. So I'm having like Skype meetings with my cat on my lap. But I didn't have the camera on. They would have liked it if I'd have told them, oh, my cat's decided to sit on my lap while I'm talking. They all would have been, turn the camera on, turn the camera on.
My dog's just an arrogant asshole.
Who's being an asshole?
Just helping Shaylee out with her.
Oh, right. We all have our challenges. Noisy dogs or noisy kids.
Yeah, the cats did some good video bombing today while Shaylee was talking to her teacher, like right up here.
Teacher would have loved that.
Yeah, she did actually.
Yeah, be good. So yeah, I'll have to do a video one with the Trinidad Sour because it's wild. Instead of a couple dashes of bitters, it's 1.5 ounces or 45 mils of bitters.
That's what I wanted to ask. Does bitters have alcohol in it?
Yes, usually quite a lot.
You only ever use a small little bit of it. So
yeah, so that's why, okay, this is the standard one. This is 45% alcohol. But it's like the popular non-alcoholic drink is lemon, lime, and bitters, or soda, lime, and bitters. So either lemonade or soda with lime cordial or lime juice, and maybe lemon juice or lemon cordial, whichever of those things, and then just a couple of splashes of this, and it just really picks up the flavor. And technically, it's not an alcoholic drink because although it's non-zero, because there's a few drops of this 45% alcohol in there, it's not enough to actually register as an alcoholic drink. So it doesn't count. So like kids can have a lemon, lime, and bitters in a.
Yeah, I was about to say, my kids used to get lemon, lime, and bitters, and it was fine.
Yeah, because it isn't legally an alcoholic drink because it doesn't have enough. Like it's probably, you put a couple splashes in, it's probably 0.01% alcohol or something, so it doesn't count.
Isn't it the same as a cherry ripe?
Sorry, what, Timoth?
Isn't it the same as a cherry ripe or something? I don't know. Because they cook the cherries, it ferments over time or something.
It's actually quite possible that there's some fermentation the way they prepare the cherries. But yeah, but in practical terms, any alcohol content is so low it doesn't count as alcoholic. It might be weird if I try another, because I like doing the comparison videos. Make one with this good old-fashioned Angostura, and then make another one with a completely different bitters that's got a completely different taste profile. Could be terrible, but you know. I think everyone would love to see me go like, having a drink. Jesus, what? I think when I'm making drinks up, people are just hanging out for me to take a big swig and go, oh my God.
Was that what you did with the Vegemite one that you did?
Oh, yeah, no, Vegemite vodka is a super bad idea. It's terrible.
I couldn't imagine. Oh,
it is very bad. Very bad.
That's a lot of bite.
No, I had Joshy over here. We managed to make it palatable by making like a martini with it. So it's like a veggie-tini. Enough vermouth kind of took the edge off the Vegemite because you use a sweet vermouth and that's got sort of herbal, grapey profile in it. And it took the edge off the Vegemite. But yeah, Vegemite vodka is dodgy AF. It's not good.
Is it still being made or was it just
I made it. No, I made it.
You made it?
Yeah, it was literally just in a jar, like big old spoon of Vegemite, and fill it up with vodka, shake it, and leave it for a couple of days for the flavour to permeate, and just shake it every now and then. The Vegemite it's still in the fridge, by the way.
Let's see it.
All right. Previous challenge was do a shot of bitters. Tonight's challenge is do a shot of Vegemite vodka.
Probably looks like a sample or something.
God knows how long. All right, I get it.
Mum, baby's got a bucket nearby. Hold on to the dog.
I think it's in this one.
Hey, come here, grumpy bum. What?
I think it's in this one. We'll have to. Let's go.
Okay, good night.
Good night.
Bye.
So let's go. Yep, that's it. It's not. It isn't that dark. Absolutely.
How long has it been fermenting?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's obviously already a spirit, but doesn't smell like it. Just it actually is a reasonably pleasant Vegemite aroma in it. Maybe it's improved with age. Maybe that's what's happened. Maybe it's improved with age.
Maybe.
It's been in the fridge for months. I haven't touched it in months. Pleasant bouquet. I'll sip and then I'll neck it.
Chug, 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 chug.
Wait, I don't think this is it. I think that's the sweetener I made. That tastes far too nice, basically.
Oh, that's got a Vegemite aroma. Oh, sugar syrup.
It turns sweet.
Okay. No, this is actually the sweetener I made with God, what's it called? It's just here. Stevia. Yeah, yes, stevia is a sugar alternative. It's like 100% sweeter than sugar, and this is stevia tea. So I made a sweetener by boiling up some stevia tea and a bit of orange peel. Oh, so this is actually nice. Okay, that was an anticlimax, wasn't it? All right.
I'm glad that the stevia experiment worked out.
Maybe it's this one. Okay, and this is black as Satan's heart. So, okay. One of these is another sweet one. One of these is a sweetener made, I think this is the sweetener made with unrefined coconut sugar. I think this, I'll be able to tell by smelling. I think this is the Vegemite vodka. That is the devil's asshole. That is.
Wait, you've been smelling my asshole?
Yeah, no, come on. Dude, give me a choice. I don't want to be too forward here, but give me a choice. Your asshole might win, honestly. Oh, geez, that's beastly. Yeah, a bit forward of me, I know, but...
Okay, what about that or Donald Trump's asshole?
Okay, this. Yeah, no. That's too frightening. All right. Yeah, this is a bit darker. This is a bit darker. This is very Vegemite coloured. All right, Jesus.
It's so dark that Donald Trump wants to put a tariff on it.
Yes. It's so dark. Donald Trump stopped it at the border. Oh my God, this is absolutely it. This is absolutely Vegemite. All right, so I'm going to sip it because you don't really get the flavor if you just chug it.
Okay, first one, go slow. Second one, chug.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. No. God, that is so bad. That is so bad. That is just the worst. It's like combined the worst aspects of Vegemite and vodka. It's like there was a 50-50 thing. Maybe it would combine the best aspects of Vegemite and vodka. No, it's the worst aspects of Vegemite and vodka. Oh, hey, Safa's come into the chat too. Just in time to see me to tonight's dare do a shot of Vegemite vodka that is like Satan's asshole. But anyway, that's here we go. Oh my God! Oh my!
Why?
Yep, following it up with the sweetener. Oh Jesus!
Oh no!
There's not enough sugar in the world for that crap.
Oh, that's good because this is. I just randomly in the supermarket saw this unrefined coconut sugar, which was a nice brown color, and I thought, ooh, I bet that would have a nice flavor. And it really has a really distinctive, not really like coconut. Doesn't really taste like coconut. It's almost like treacle. It's a lot more liquid than treacle, but it's like this with rum. Rum cocktails made with this one. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Fucking Vegemite vodka, you evil but I tell you what, when everyone's saying like, yeah, when this thing's over, Angry, you got to make your cocktails. Yes, I'll make cocktails for anyone who does a shot of the Vegemite vodka first. So that's the initiation.
Okay, just give me the whole bottle now.
Timoth, I'll put it in the mail, man. I will put it in the mail and send it to you.
Okay. YouTube challenge.
Yeah, no, dude. I will do it. I'll get some container that I can send in the mail. If you like, DM me a postal address, whether on YouTube or Facebook or Twitter or whatever. I will send you some Vegemite vodka, and you got to do me a video of you tasting it because it's spectacular.
Live stream.
Live stream. Yes. No. Yeah, on the live stream. That's even better. Yes. So when you get it, you've got to come back on the live stream. And I think, okay, with the disclaimer, I think the postal service is up to shit at the moment. I think everything's taking forever to get anywhere.
Yes.
But it might be a month or so from now. But you DM me a postal address, I will send some, and we got to see you do it on another live stream. And in fact, I'm in a weird mood. I'll do it for anyone, basically. Oh, Greg, you're local. I could probably just drop you off. So.
Are you not lonely, Angry?
I am. I really am. But anyone sends me, just DM me, whether it's on Facebook or Twitter or YouTube, a postal address and say Vegemite Vodka Challenge, and I'll find some sort of container I can send it in. And I will send you a shot of Vegemite vodka, and may God have mercy on your soul. This is all I'm going to say.
What's a soul? Because I'm pretty sure.
Yes. Catherine, can you legally post liquids? Yeah. You can send, because you can order booze to get delivered to you. In fact, maybe I'll make another old fashioned because I got an orange. So I can do the orange oil thing on it just to make it extra special. Yeah, I'm going to do that. So I just got this in the mail that I ordered from Dan Murphy's. This Starwood is an Australian whiskey maker. I think they possibly make some gins as well. But they notably make whiskies. But this is actually a cocktail. This is an old fashioned, which is a pretty simple cocktail. It's slightly sweetened whiskey with bitters, and they've even given the bitters an Australian edge. It's wattle seed bitters. So this is a very Australian old-fashioned. And the thing to really top off an old-fashioned, a bit of orange peel, spritz the orange oils into it and wipe it around the rim. So I've got to get my peeler, and I'll peel off a bit of this, and I'll be classy AF. With my Aussie thing. Catherine, worried about the spillage. That's what I mean. I have to find the right sort of container that's sort of little and tightly sealed that I can send stuff in the mail. Shouldn't be too hard.
One of those medical specimen containers?
Yeah, small specimen container, yeah.
Or you can always just put duct tape around the lid.
Yeah, something like that.
Duct tape fixes everything.
Duct tape is magic, yes. Timoth knows what's going on. All right, so
didn't Mythbusters make a boat out of duct tape or something?
Probably. That sounds like something they do. All right, so just got to. Oh, okay. I screwed that up. We'll take it. Got to be
great. Everything goes wrong when I show up.
That's just me, mate. That's not you. And I dropped. Oh, it smells so good. Just the orange oil coming off that as I peel it. All right, so I'm going to put a nice splash of old-fashioned Adele, you're waiting on some wine via post. All right, I'm going to put like 2 ounces of this in. Just a generous little thing. And pop that on. And then just squeeze some orange oil over it. And wipe that around the rim. That's what she said.
Yeah.
Put that in there. And see, then first thing you get when you put it up to your face is the orange oil aroma, which is just great, which just goes so well with whiskey. It's just like, oh, yeah. Yeah, that just makes it next level. I don't normally bother with garnishes, but a bit of orange peel on an old-fashioned is just great.
Oh, Angry.
Yes,
Can you settle a debate for me?
yes.
Be Pavlova Australian or New Zealand?
Yes, that is in fact a debate. Yes. And New Zealanders are sure they have the documentary evidence to say it's originated in New Zealand, and Australians are sure they have the documentary evidence to say it was invented in Australia. I mean,
What was?
let's look up on Wikipedia and see what is Pavlova Australian
Oh, Pavlova.
or New Zealand? Pavlova.
Or is it meringue?
It's a meringue, yeah. Pavlova, a meringue-based dessert named after the Russian ballerina Anna Pavlova.
Fair enough.
Dessert believed to be, yes, here you go. Believed to be created in honour either after an Australian or New Zealand tour in the 1920s. Nationality of its creator has been a source of argument between the two nations for many years. Origin. Early history can be traced to Australia, where recipes for a very similar dish have been found dating back to 1906, although it was called a cream cake. Didn't have the name Pavlova because it was named after Anna Pavlova. 1922 book, Australian Home Cookery, contained a recipe for meringue with fruit filling. And this is the first known recipe for a food entirely resembling the modern Pavlova, though you're not yet known by that name. And the first known recipe for a dish bearing the name for Pavlova is from Australia in 1926. However, it was a multi-layered jelly and not the meringue. Yeah. That's weird.
Still sounds nice, though.
Okay, and then someone else says there's a recipe for a Pavlova cake from New Zealand in 1929. Also,
it's not a cake or a jelly.
Let's just focus on the
air
Australian
and
one.
Sugar.
Yeah, it's just
air and nice.
Yeah, Shelf Warmer reckons Mel Gibson invented it. That sounds plausible.
Oh yeah, totally.
That sounds very plausible.
Just like Kim Jong-il invented the hamburger.
Oh my God, just the weird shit they go on with in North Korea does my head in. Saf wants to know what would happen to me without a cocktail every night. I don't actually have one every night, but I'd shrivel up and die. That's the answer.
Probably end up killing yourself out of boredom.
Yep. So cocktails are keeping me alive, so I'm going to keep making them. Philip, hello and good evening to you, sir. This also makes me feel good and wholesome. Supporting independent Australian producers. I'm not an alcoholic. I'm a patriot.
For the everyday worker.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, Philip says me and the drinks I'm like Bender from Futurama. I always like the line when Bender was having a bad time and Fry says to him, "Bender, you've got to have a drink." No, he says, "You've got to stop drinking. You've drunk too much. Or maybe you haven't drunk enough." I don't know how it works with you.
Just like Ralph Wiggum, it's either the nosebleed either started because he picked his nose or not enough.
Yes. Did too much or not enough. It's the perennial problem.
That might be why I'm fat. Either I haven't eaten enough or not enough or too much.
Well, I think it's why I'm fat that I've decided I haven't eaten enough and I just keep eating. So it's I think that's what my case is.
Why stop now?
Yeah, exactly. You know, it's been a hoot so far. I don't see why I'd stop at this point.
I like to believe
I replace meals with cocktails.
Yes.
Now, you think?
I believe it's because of this pandemic. It's making me stress eat that food might stop being made. So I'm just bulking up so I can survive longer.
See, that is a strategy, my friend. Don't let anyone put you down. You have a strategy and you are going with it. And winners have strategies, is what I'm saying.
Yes.
So yeah, don't let anyone put you down. That's a winning strategy.
So I guess I better hit my mother over the head then.
Because she keeps feeding you? Or?
Well, that, but she also says, why don't you just eat a salad for once? And I went, well, stop buying me food, woman.
Yeah, I have to admit, I am super bad. Like, I almost never eat salads. Try and eat veggies. I used to be very bad. Like, I didn't eat any vegetables. I was so bad. But Mrs. Angry got me to eat veggies. Some people will have seen the video through the magic of a process that's colloquially known as tapping, also called EFT. And there's this weird thing. It's about bloody acupuncture meridians. You tap these different parts while you're saying something, and it can help with stress, it can help with anxiety, but weirdly it can help with food. If there's a food you can't stop yourself from eating, it is actually weirdly effective at stopping you from having that craving. Like, it's amazing. But it also does the opposite. If there's a food that's like a healthy food, but you've never eaten because you think it's gross, it can get rid of that mental block that makes you think that food is gross. And I've done this, things I didn't eat, like capsicum, onion, carrot, a few different fruits, and salads. It's absolutely weird. Like, you start off like, how much do you want to eat this out of 10? And I'd be like, 2 out of 10. I don't want to eat it. Take a bite. What do you think? Oh, it's gross. Okay, do this thing. That's gross. Da, 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 da. You get led through this thing. Bite it again. Wasn't that? No, it's not as bad. It's maybe, 3 or 4 out of 10. And you keep going, and it gets to the point where you say, no, wait, this actually tastes nice. What have you done? What have you done? The weirdest one for me.
Gala Darling. Do you know Gala Darling? She's a YouTuber.
Okay.
She had anorexia, and she says tapping cured her anorexia. And now she does it all the time. She does tapping videos. Tapping
can be incredibly effective with mental health, anxiety disorders, phobias. It's freaky. It still needs a lot more sort of evidence behind it. But Mrs. Angry uses, like, she's a professional psychologist counselor, and she uses it. And another more formal technique known as EMDR. Look, I've had this thing. I've always wanted to explain EMDR. I've got the explanation just here. Right. So, EMDR. Mrs. Angry got me this explanation. I just got my feeler. Look. So, EMDR stands for Eye Movement Desensitization Reprocessing. So you can see why we just call it EMDR, because that's a real mouthful. But when a trauma occurs, it seems to get locked in the nervous system with the original picture sounds, thoughts, and feelings. The eye movements we use in EMDR seem to unlock the nervous system and allow the brain to process the experience. That may be what is happening in REM or dream sleep. The eye movements help to process the unconscious material. It's important to remember that it is your own brain that will be doing the healing, and you are the one in control. Like, the World Health Organization recommends EMDR for post-traumatic stress disorder. Like, really? It's amazing. And because Mrs. Angry works with public health, and she gets a lot of refugees or asylum seekers as clients. This is people, they've been through war, they've had family members killed, they've been tortured, they've had family members tortured. they've got just this life of trauma that they're not able to deal with. And these processes, which again, nice touch, completely drug-free processes, have actually helped people process the trauma. You don't forget it. You don't forget it happened to you, but it stops having that visceral power over you where you have flashbacks and panic attacks and anxiety. It's absolutely mind-blowing stuff. Like, I mean, I'm really lucky. I've never had any bad trauma in my life. Like when Mrs. Angry wanted to practice EMDR on me, she said, what could we, what's a bad memory, something. And there's an ex of mine who was actually really abusive, and I let it go on for far too long. And I was still, when I thought of her and the fact that I felt like I let it go on so long, I'd have this really visceral reaction to, Jesus, I really fucked up there. How did I let that happen? And a lot of self-blame. But when I thought about it, I'd have a really strong reaction. So she said, that's good. I did this EMDR, and now whenever I think about it, it's like, yeah, it happened, and yeah, it was shitty, but I don't have this real, it was never anxiety. It was never like a full-blown anxiety attack, but it was a real almost physical reaction to thinking about it. And I don't have that anymore. It's wild.
So could this help someone who had multiple surgeries as a teenager and became, say, paralyzed through it?
What, help with paralysis or just help with...
During my teen years, I had to have multiple surgeries on my spine to fix scoliosis.
Right.
And before my second surgery, I had a fall at school at 15 and a half or something.
Yeah.
And one of the rods actually broke in my back, caused me to become fully paralyzed, and doctor said I'll never walk again. 2 years later, I'm walking again.
Good man.
Then I had to have a third surgery a few days after my 17th.
Yeah.
And my shrink thinks I have a form of PTSD from being intellectually disabled and not understanding what was going on at the time.
Yeah, that sounds absolutely plausible. No, that sort of trauma, for PTSD and other trauma, and even just anxiety and whatnot, it absolutely works. If you were able to find a proper practitioner who did EMDR, then it would absolutely help. Like I said, the World Health Organization actually recommends it for trauma, and so and that compounds like things like what used to be known as borderline personality disorder, which I understand the formal way to refer to it now is something about complex trauma, because
post-traumatic stress disorder complex.
Yeah, it is a form of PTSD. It just manifests differently. Like, some mental health issues are actual brain chemistry issues. And I think people thought borderline personality disorder, which is why it had that name, because it was like on the borderline of a couple of
schizophrenia.
And
on the borderline of psychosis, basically.
Yeah, they thought it was a brain chemistry issue, and more study has said no, it's actually a reaction to trauma. And so, if you could find a good practitioner, because there are definitely bad practitioners, so you want someone who's actually a qualified psychologist, psychotherapist, something like that. Because if you look this stuff up online, you will find some absolute fruitcakes. It's kind of like, hey, there seems to be some
right here.
Yeah, I know. What do you mean you do? But it's like, there seem to be some really interesting health benefits to cannabis and cannabinoids and whatnot.
Oh God, I wish I could get high right now.
Yeah, and then you go from saying, wow, that looks like it's worth investigating, and then you get these lunatics who just go, it cures cancer. Okay, don't think it does, buddy, but it might help. But so even with a good therapy, you get weirdos who attach themselves to it. Like I've seen a video of someone, I forget whether it was about tapping or EMDR, but they were talking about doing it over the phone to their pet because their pet was suffering separation anxiety. And it's like, all right, you idiot. Shut up, you idiot. Shut up, you idiot.
Yeah. Good times.
Good times. But yeah, it's no matter what it is, if there's a good therapy, a good treatment, there will always be absolute fucking weirdos around the fringes of it. You just can't get away from it.
My type of people.
Yes, we're all the freaks here. We're okay with that.
I think I heard something in the Queen movie where for the people in the back that don't think they belong to anyone, we are for them. And it's like, that is so me.
Yes.
I am the weird one that weird people say, fuck off.
Yeah. Even the other weird people are a bit unsure.
It's like Joseph Stalin going to Hitler going, man, I like what you're doing with the like no one allowed in our country thing, but that whole killing your own citizens, just because of one little thing, it's like nah.
Yeah. Yes.
Still two like evil people, of course. But...
Yes. Oh yeah. But it's kind of like even some people make mad dictators pause and go, "Ooh, buddy, calm down. What's that about?"
AKA Kim Jong-un.
Oh, yeah, he's just weird. Yeah. I always refer on these live streams to one of my favorite podcasts called Behind the Bastards, where this guy does research on, as he says, the worst people in history. And he tries to find out stuff that you maybe don't know about them. And then he has a comedian come in to sort of riff on the research that he's uncovered. And very, very good. But he does some very weird stuff in it.
Like Hitler being into scat.
Yeah, that one's not necessarily true, but Hitler was into weird romance novels. So
I actually heard one where Hitler, one of his parents or grandparents was actually a Jew or something.
Yes.
Well,
yeah, I've heard that one.
So we're never really sure. There is Behind the Bastards. It has a good one on Hitler's sex life, which is hilarious.
Is this on YouTube?
No, it's a podcast. So just like on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or whatever you listen to podcasts on. But yeah, he's done all the big ones like Hitler and Stalin and Mao and whatnot, but also quite obscure things. Michael, guten Tag, lunchtime, soon be guten Abend. I don't know the word for lunch. I remember like half a dozen words from high school German, and lunch is not one of them. So I can't wish you a happy lunch.
Behind the Bastards. It was the first thing that came up.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really where
it's like my kind of thing.
Yeah, the episodes go for an hour or so, and there's hundreds of them because he's been doing it for a couple of years, and there's hundreds of them, and they're very funny. But they're also interesting because he really does the research and finds out stuff that you probably don't know, and you feel better off. Michael saying, "Don't mention Zavor." Definitely the best episode of Faulty Towers with the German tourists.
It is.
Faulty Towers.
I love that show.
Yeah, and Basil's got a concussion.
Awesome.
He's being even worse than usual, and with the Germans in there, and he's been saying strange things about the war, and then runs out of the room, and he's saying to Sybil, "Go in there and look after them. Don't mention the war. I did once, but I think I got away with it."
Totally didn't.
Michael's helping me out.
Dude. You know, every time I go onto YouTube, and the first thing I get is, you know, a certain YouTuber, nobody you'd know, I suppose, but they're after her. All the other YouTubers are totally going, you know, blank is worse than we thought. And stuff like that.
Yeah.
So,
YouTube drama. Yeah.
YouTube dramas. But, I mean, I've listened to a few of these, and they're all like, she's a gossip columnist. Oh, really? Like you.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
You talk about gossip and you give your opinion on people you don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, no, someone has a different opinion than me. The heavens are fallen.
One of my favorite web comics, a really weird one where they're just stick figures, XKCD. One of his classic ones from years ago was like someone's banging away on their computer and they're presuming that's their partner says, just come to bed already. And he goes, I can't. Somebody is wrong on the internet.
Yeah.
Adorable.
Yeah. Just getting fixated on arguments. There are so many videos attacking me on YouTube. It's absolutely fucking hilarious. I've never watched any of them because it's just like, why would I? But and because so many of them are really long as well. I was going, I'm not going to waste 15 minutes of my life of this idiot who can't even make his point. So like, AngryAussie sucks. There you go. It's a 5-second video. You're done. That's all you need to say.
I betcha.
Yeah, these go on and on. They've got research. Sorry, what was that, Timothy?
I betcha in real life, AngryAussie isn't an Aussie or angry.
Well, I used to get that complaint all the time that I wasn't an Aussie, which is very weird. So half the time they're saying, I don't think you're Australian. And then someone would say, call me a bogan, like I would think that was an insult. And I was like, dude, I grew up in Dubbo. Bogan's the least offensive thing people say to me, okay? It's just like...
Well, if you listen to the Flat Earth Society, all of us are trained actors.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it's
It's not real, yeah. Yeah. Yes. You
Humans
know
are not
how
real.
the American right-wingers, they have that word they say instead of the Jews, they say the globalists, by which they mean the Jews are running everything. So they go, the globalists. They're so dumb and they're so lacking in self-awareness. I find it hilarious. One of them, a really high-profile one, is like, yeah, we're going to fight the globalists. We've got people all around the world. We're going to get this network formalized and we'll be all over the world, all of us together around the world fighting the globalists. And I'm like, what? Wait, if you're hooking up with people around the world, doesn't that make you a globalist? I'm confused. But they're so weird. They're not very bright. That's the big thing, particularly with the American loudmouths who have managed to get their face in the public. They're not very bright. It's
Most of them are just opportunists.
Oh, absolutely.
And, it's all energy and not much intellect.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the best takedowns. Does anyone know the English YouTuber with the username HBomber guy?
Sounds familiar, but I don't think so.
He's very good. Left-wing YouTuber. He does, and he's really into gaming. So some of his videos are about gaming, and some are about social issues. And he had one ripping on Ben Shapiro, who's a complete fucking moron. But the best takedown of Ben Shapiro I've ever seen, because he's got this false wall behind him. I think it's just made of balsa wood or something to make to block out his bedroom for when he's making videos. So it's like a fake wall behind him. But anyway, he's saying, now, for instance, here's Ben talking about global warming. And Ben Shapiro talks like this, very nasal, talks really fast. So maybe let's just say the ocean level's do rise. What if the ocean level rise? People say it's bad. Do the ocean level rise 2 inches? Let's say a foot. Let's say the ocean levels rise a foot. And you're saying, oh no, all the people in their homes are going to be inundated and it's going to be terrible. Well, they can just sell their homes. And so he said this with a straight face, like he was making a really good point. If coastal cities get inundated, it's not a disaster because people can just sell their homes. And then from that video, it cuts back to HBomber guy's set, except he's not on there. And then you hear this banging noise. and bang, and it goes on for a few seconds, and then suddenly, like, it breaks through this wall, which is just like particle board or something, with a meat cleaver, and he just smashes a hole through the wall and sticks his head through and goes, "Sell their homes, Ben. Sell their homes to who? Fucking Aquaman." It's just,
the dolphins.
Lost City of Atlantis.
yeah, they just say the dumbest thing and then go, "Ha ha! Checkmate, liberals." And it's like, what? No.
What are you doing? Hi.
It's back. Going to show us some art? Is that some
I
art?
like to show my art. It's not finished yet. It's just the beginnings.
Okay.
It's
All right.
just the head.
That's what she said.
Yeah,
Sorry? What?
I'll just mute you.
Okay. Yes. Okay. Consulting on family artworks there. Actually, it's not what she said. That'd be what he said. Just the head. Just the tip. Sorry. Bad. Was Michael saying another cute thing about the alt-right? Repeat. Yeah, they do. They repeat the same phrases and talking points, and then they say, the left is just sheep. You're sheep. And that really sad meme they tried to do for a while that they call NPCs, because NPCs, non-player characters in video games, just repeat the same phrases over and over. And they said, yeah, the left are just NPCs. They don't say anything real. They just say the same thing over and over. And their method of scoring a massive point with that is for them all to use the same meme. And it's like, what the fuck? It's just like, what? Oh, guys. It's just like, when you're sitting there literally doing the thing that you say is a dumb thing to do, that it's a straw man saying that's what the left do, but then you're actually doing it, does my head in. Absolutely does my head in.
Which is why I love the videos.
Yes.
A projection.
Yeah, it's projection. Yeah, that's perfect, Megal. It's projection.
You basically say what everyone's thinking.
I just noticed Shellformer saying there was going to be a US version of Faulty Towers without Basil, so without John Cleese.
Oh, God, no.
There are so many,
like Trump Tower or something. Trump Tower.
Yeah.
Probably.
There are so many failed attempts in the US. Some worked. Like there was a very successful one in the 70s, maybe early 80s, called All in the Family, about a dad of a family who's a real bigot. And that was basically an Americanized version of was the Alf Garnett show. What was it called? Till Death Us Do Part. And the Australian version of that was Kingswood Country. Those were all successful. But the US has tried so many times to do a local version of a British show, and it's bombed really badly.
The Office was good in the US.
That was a success. That was a big success.
What about Wilfred?
Wilfred was a very successful adaptation of an Australian show. Yes, that was very successful. They actually kept the Australian actor who plays the dog, Wilfred.
Yeah. Didn't he create Wilfred?
No.
Okay.
Wilfred was originally a short film, and he was Wilfred in the short film. And then he was Wilfred in the Australian TV series. And then he was Wilfred in the American TV series.
And then he punched someone and got banned from America, I think.
He's a piece of shit. He got really drunk at either the Melbourne Cup or the Caulfield Cup. And when he was getting on a bus, he was being an asshole. And I don't know, the bus driver told him to, settle down and get in a seat. And he really violently assaulted the bus driver, like really badly injured the bus driver.
Who was that?
The actor who plays Wilfred, the dog in the comedy series. He's a piece of shit. And because he hasn't come back to Australia because WorkCover paid out this bus driver $500,000 or something. And they just said, because it was a criminal offense, it was a violent criminal assault, they said, hey, buddy boy, you're actually liable for this. We're going to sue you for what we paid out to this guy, and so he won't return to Australia, because if he returns to Australia, WorkCover's suing him, which he fucking deserves because he's a shithead.
Yeah, damn right.
Oh, Robot Man Greg said Americans tried to make a version of Spaced as well, which bombed. I know they did a couple of pilots of Red Dwarf. Never got past the pilot stage, but they made a couple different pilots that never aired. Oh, they probably aired, but not very widely. They tried to make an American version of Kath and Kim, the Australian show, and so there was a whole season of it, and it bombed really badly.
Another one, Homeland, that was pretty good. That was an Israeli show, Prisoners of War.
Oh, okay. Homeland's an Israeli show. Okay. Yeah, Homeland did very well. Catherine's called Trigger. There's going to be a Ryan Reynolds movie where he's an NPC in Grand Theft Auto style game, becomes Free Guy. Yes, I saw a trailer for that. I don't know whatever happened to that. Ryan Reynolds, is a background guy in a video game. I don't know if that's still coming out or what, because weird things happen with movies. They disappear. They go into what people call development hell. And
like the Halo movie and then the Last of Us movie.
Yeah. I tell you, you know what should have been like an absolute failure and probably never made it to the cinemas? One of the best films of the last 10 years, definitely one of my favorites, Mad Max Fury Road. That should never have succeeded. That was in development hell for 2 decades. They were trying to get it made for 2 decades. At one point, it was going to be computer-generated animation. And when they finally got it, they recast the role. Yeah, Max was Mel Gibson, and they recast the role. And then Max isn't even the central character in the movie. The editing was done by George Miller's wife, who had never edited an action movie before. When you add up all these things about production hell, recasting, problems with locations, problem with actors, being edited by someone who'd never edited an action movie, it should have been terrible. It should have been a disaster. It probably should never have been made. And it was undoubtedly one of the best films of the last 10 years. I fucking love that film. Safa, is there a 4K Fury Road? I would bet lots and lots of money there is. Yes, it was filmed in Africa. George Miller wanted to do the standard film in the Australian desert, and then it rained. And when it rains in the Australian desert, all the flowers bloom, and it looks beautiful. And he's like, that's not the vibe I'm going for. So they relocated to, I forget which part of Africa, but it was Africa. And again, that's another thing that should have sank it, that they had to change locations. And there, there wasn't actually a script in the traditional sense. The dialogue was all written down for the actors, but it was storyboarded. It wasn't a written script. It was images. It was like, he drew it. There's this shot, and then there's this shot, and there was rooms with hundreds and hundreds of these postcard-sized pictures, and that was the script for the movie. And because it was just a visual movie, and the making of stuff's great. I got Mrs. Angry got me for Christmas a couple of years ago the version they call it's a box set of all the Mad Max films, including Fury Road, and the Blood and Chrome version of Fury Road, which is high contrast black and white. It's the same film, but it's in high contrast black and white. And when you think about all the beautiful colors in Fury Road, you think that won't work. Fuck me, it does. It's a different experience watching the black and white version of it. It's such a good film, and there's hours of making of stuff, which I love. That thing with the pole cats, the guys on the big bendy poles, they were either Cirque du Soleil or the equivalent of Cirque du Soleil. They were circus performers, and someone found them and said, oh yeah, there's these guys who can do stuff on the end of poles. It would look really cool. And George Miller said, that sounds cool. Got them in, and they said, like, here's our set. Here's the cars. Our idea is the poles are on the cars and you're doing stuff while the cars are moving. Like, you'll be strapped in and stuff so you can't fall off. And they said to the performers, does that sound cool to you? And they went, yeah, we'll do that. And they said, okay, I just want to see what it looks like. So all the cars are going to drive through the desert. You guys, and the cameras are going to be here. And he had no idea what it was going to look like. And he thought they might go, 15 degrees either way. And these fucking guys were going 180 degrees on the poles. And George Miller, apparently, he's just watching, going, fucking hell. Look at them. And yeah, no, that was written into the script just because someone thought it would be cool. And then he said to them, oh, we want you to do a thing. Will you do a thing? And they said, we'll do a thing. He said, let's do a test shot. And then they just went for it. And George Miller's just going, holy shit, look at how that looks. And, that wasn't particularly planned. It was just like, it would kind of look cool if these guys were on poles. But the guys on poles were madmen. They were just like, yeah, I'm in a moving car going 180 degrees. It's just like,
I still haven't seen that movie.
Oh, it's really worth it. Safa, the black and white version was on a special edition. They either call it, I think they call it black and chrome. I think I just said blood and chrome, but I think it's called black and chrome. Look, I'm going to get the box set so you know what it looks like because it's beautiful. I'm going to show it to you. So you guys talk amongst yourselves.
Sup?
The ceiling.
Are you sure? Because... Oh, wait.
Yep.
Sorry. Dumb joke.
So are you guys joining in on the cocktails tonight?
I just finished mine.
I don't drink, so...
That's a big cup.
I'll
Just straight out of the bottle, all classy.
I watched too much of the news today. That's why.
Fair enough.
What the fuck is your president doing? Honestly.
Wait,
Trump's like scary guy. Like, what? Every time I turn on the TV, it's like, oh, what's happening on the Trump show? Shit, not again.
Yeah.
He says one thing one day, the opposite the next day. Then he puts on some kind of promotional thing about how he's doing better. And then he says, no, it's not about me. It's about them, about the good people. And I don't know.
I'm surprised someone hasn't killed him yet.
Mm.
There's, 500 million guns in America, and yet no one has thought of killing them yet?
Oh, I'm sure people have thought about it. It's just no one's like...
Where's the rednecks when you need them?
They're all his fans.
Unfortunately. Yeah, isn't there at least one good redneck?
I wouldn't know. I'm Australian.
Yeah.
Same.
Megan Leach, I thought you were American for some reason.
No, Tasmanian.
A Tasmanian?
Oh,
yeah.
Where's your second head? There it is.
The kids want me to get Totoro onesies now.
Angry's got one of those, I think. So.
Yeah, it's a bit hot for this in Melbourne.
Very hot, yeah.
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 Okay, after all that, I can't find it. It's somewhere on the shelves. But I did find, because I got two things. I've got the Mad Max High Octane collection. This is all Mad Max films. So it's the original Mad Max 2, aka The Road Warrior, Beyond Thunderdome, the one with Tina Turner, Fury Road, and then 3 discs of extra features. And
God.
Oh, no, this is the black and chrome one. Sorry, black and chrome on Blu-ray. Sorry. God, I've gone mental.
Join the club.
But you can just, I think you can just get black and chrome by itself, like on 4K and Blu-ray. But this box set all Mad Max films, including the black and chrome version of Fury Road, and then 2 discs of extra features, just hours and hours of extra feature, and I love it so much. This is Blu-ray. You can probably get it on DVD as well. You can probably get it on 4K as well.
Angry, how old were you when you first saw the first Mad Max?
The first one, I saw it on home video, like, because it was R-rated, and I was too young to go see an R-rated movie. And so I saw it on early 80s when I was in high school. So somewhere between 82 was probably the first time I saw it, and it had already been out for years at that point. But I could just get away with hiring it on video by about 1982.
Hold on. What is home video?
Yes, exactly, right? VHS, my man, VHS.
Yeah. Shut up, boomer. You know?
Yeah, boomer.
Angry door.
Next,
Gen X, please.
Next, you're going to say Laserdisc.
Oh, I had a Laserdisc player.
Boomer.
I want one just for the sake of having one.
I see. I think I saw, I'm not 100% sure, because I just looked up, Mad Max 2 came out in 1981, and it was only M-rated, even though it was actually, in a lot of ways, a lot more violent than the original. I think I saw Mad Max 2 before I saw the original Mad Max. I'm not 100% sure, but I think I might have seen Mad Max 2 before I saw the original. But oh my god, the original, it's the psychological violence and the implicit violence in it, because
I was 12.
Yeah, it's the original one where the tough guy Max handcuffs the bad guy to something that's going to explode and says, like, this is going to explode in 5 minutes.
That's right.
Here's a hacksaw. The handcuffs are made of high tensile steel that will take you 10 minutes to cut through. If you're lucky, you can cut through your arm in 2. And it's just like, that's 20 years before Saw. That's 30 years before Saw. And just, that was the first one to do that. Just like, I'm going to put you in a trap, and the only way you'll possibly escape is if you cut your own arm off. And it's just like, damn. Yeah. I think I saw Mad Max 2 before. See, and there's a lot of there's much more stunts and sort of overt cartoony violence in Mad Max 2, but it's not that really dark, brutal shit that's in the original Mad Max, because that's just
really
dark.
Gritty, the first Mad Max. And really kind of realistic.
Yeah. Oh, it's just shot out around fucking Geelong. And so, where do we have a place that looks like society's breaking down? I don't know, Geelong? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So I just read that the next Mad Max Furiosa is in development as of March 2020.
There you go. Well, they
one.
had lots of options that they could revisit Furiosa.
Another 2.
Because the other one they were talking about, the working title was just Tales from the Wasteland, because if you're a Mad Max nerd, like me, you know Fury Road doesn't actually fit in with the other films, because the interceptor that he has at the start of Fury Road is actually destroyed in Mad Max 2, but it's also destroyed in Fury Road, and it was the last of the V8 interceptors. So they can't be on the same timeline. What George Miller's basically said is, this is Fury Road is the story people tell about Max. So, you know, it's embellished. It's the same as the kids in Mad Max 3 telling their version, and even Mad Max 2, because it's got a voiceover, you know, my mind grows dim, my memories fade. And then at the end, you find out that's the feral kid. When they all escaped, the feral kid goes, you know, we escaped to the coast. I became the leader of our people. But as for the road warrior, we never saw him again. So what George Miller has said is these are basically folk tales. So they don't actually have to fit in completely logically, because
that makes sense. Yeah,
it's the folktale version of what Max did. He wrote the countryside.
Kind of like Chinese.
after the feral kids.
You're
What
saying
was
Timothy's saying Chinese whispers, yeah.
Yeah.
Safa wants to know what all us boomers did with our VHS collections. Threw them out, buddy. At a certain point, you just throw them out.
Still have mine.
I've still got an enormous amount of physical media. I've got hundreds of discs in there. I haven't watched.
I have a working VHS player, so
yeah, I have a computer with a working floppy disk drive just in case I need it. But I went through this phase of just really liking DVDs and wanting to have. I like physical objects, and so I've got hundreds of DVDs. And about a third of them I haven't watched, somewhere between a quarter and a third. I've got dozens of movies that I bought and paid money for, and I haven't watched. They were all on special. I got them on a whim, like, that's a great price for that movie. I'm getting that. I'll watch that one. And I used to always say, the time will come when I'll be stuck indoors and, you know, I'll be sick or something, and that's when I'll finally watch them all. Who's crazy now?
And now,
but have you done it?
No, because I'm still working.
And now you're
live.
like
Go ahead. David.
Oh, sorry. Now you are live streaming on the internet to a bunch of weirdos.
Yeah. I know who my people are. That's all right. Yeah.
So it's a bit like the preppers in the United States.
Yes.
Prepping for 2 decades. And finally, they have a chance to use their stuff, and they're all out going, "I want a haircut."
Yeah, that's my favorite one. The preppers saying,
"This is the slacker apocalypse."
Yeah, preppers saying, "I can survive for a year on my rations, but I can't survive 2 weeks if someone actually tells me to not leave my home." I just know. Sorry, Michael's asking how the corona is developing in Australia, because it's doing okay in Germany. We're doing super well, man. Like it's stunning how we were just on the edge of it looking like we were going to get bad, and we got it under control. Like if I, do the magic numbers, as I am obsessed with doing, I shouldn't do it every live stream, but I'm kind of obsessed. So if we look at the official figures from Johns Hopkins, US is up to 825,000 cases. The world's up to 2.5 million. US is determined to be a third of all cases. So if I get down the list, USA #1. Trying to find Germany. Okay, I missed it, I think. But Australia's got 6,500 confirmed cases, and Johns Hopkins says 67 confirmed deaths. I know local media has actually said it's like 71 or something.
Do you know what I heard today?
Yeah.
Angry?
What'd you do?
I was either on SBS or ABC, so it was pretty reliable.
Yeah.
There was a doctor in New York who is Australian, but, working there, doing the thing.
Yeah.
He said that strokes are up, and they've got a theory that this virus isn't actually a respiratory virus, it's a blood virus.
Oh, that'd be fun, because there is so much we do not know. There is really so much.
Out of the people who have recovered, there's a lot of strokes.
And a lot of kidney failure and things like that as well.
Kidney failure people.
The ACE2 receptor that it attaches to, there's a lot in your stomach tract as well, and so it doesn't just get into your respiratory system; it can get further. So, the extent of what COVID is going to end up being isn't fully known yet. Yeah, no, we really don't.
Like, there's this aspect of recovery. That a lot of people are having problems with their organs that they never expected as well. So they think there's going to be a lot of rehabilitation expenses as well.
Yeah, I heard that in children, there's a symptom where they get these spots on their feet. So that's hardly respiratory.
Wow. That's
unconfirmed though. I just heard about that.
Yeah, I know.
There's lesions on legs.
Yeah, sorry. Just gonna say good day to David as well. Yeah, so we were talking about Germany for Michael. 150,000 cases, 5,000 deaths. So in terms of death rate, that is actually quite good. That's only a third of 1%, as opposed to the UK with 130,000 cases and 17,000 deaths. That's over 10%, which is fucking terrible. Am I right? No, sorry. If it was, let me go. If it was 10% in Germany, it would be 14,000. Yeah, so it's about 3%. It's Germany has about a 3% death rate on the official figures. Australia has about 1%, I think. Where are we? Australia. Yeah, we've got about 1%.
And we've got a less than 1% growth rate at the moment.
Oh, yeah, we're doing so well. Now, the Google one that says the infection rate is interesting. It says Germany has 1,785 cases per million people. For comparison, the US has 2.5 million cases per million. Spain has 4,500. So Spain's like 3 times worse than Germany. Italy's like twice as bad as Germany. UK has a higher infection rate than Germany. France is about the same as Germany. And if we find our way down to little old Australia, where are we? It's hard to find. Oh, there we are. Australia, 259 cases per million people. So in terms of rate of infection, Germany is about 6 times worse than Australia. So, God, we're doing well. It seems like a terrible and mean thing to say, but we're doing freakishly well.
Isn't Australia always been good for their medical expertise or something?
Because we're
particularly good. We're particularly good with emergency and accidents, and not very good with mental health.
No, we're not actually. No. Stella's saying she heard something about a cytokine cascade, which leads to multi-organ failure, which kills a lot of people who get the virus.
Yeah, the cytokine cascade is an immune response. It's like the body's last-ditch effort to go, oh, shit, there's something wrong. Turn all my immune system on now, and it does a lot of damage to your organs. So that's what she's talking about, I suspect.
Yeah. So, but that's the huge thing is we just don't fucking know. Someone was saying Turkey's bad. They got 95,000 cases and 2,200 deaths. So that's less than 3%. So it's not great, but not terrible death rate. And in terms of infection, it's 1,150 per million people. So that's better than a lot of European places, better than the US, but lots worse than Australia, for instance. So, God, the weirdest thing is we just don't know. There is so much we don't know. And all the people weird me out who are acting like what's happening today, that's it. That's all that will ever happen. Today, what we see today, that's it. And it's like, dude, compare today to a month ago. I mean, not Australia, because we got it under control. But in the US, compare the US today with a month ago. And there's been like exponential growth in cases and deaths. And there's every indication it's going to continue getting worse through May. Again, we don't know for sure because it's so friggin' weird that we just don't know. But people who look at, oh, well, this it's done now. It's okay. No, you listen, it's the World Health Organization basically expected over 12 to 18 months, almost everyone to contract the virus, at least, 75% of the population. And if you don't get an effective treatment to reduce the death toll, globally, you're ending up with tens of millions of dead if that happens. Which, again, if we manage it, as awful as that number is, if you manage it so they spread out that's kind of manageable. But if it gets out of control, so all the deaths happen in the first 3 or 4 months from now, then that's really, 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 really bad, because people who don't have to die are going to die. But people just look at, no, today, look, it's fine. It's like, dude, that's today. I'm not going to predict what a month or 6 months from now is going to be, but saying what happens today is going to happen every day is not that likely.
Why not, Angry?
New York has had a dip in the death rate. It's still really high. It's still
because most people are dead by now.
15,000 deaths in New York. A third of all America's deaths are in New York.
Yeah. But as soon as that dipped, it was like, oh, it must be over now. Let's just open everything up again. No.
I was looking at the numbers yesterday, and New York was the 5th worst country in the world.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, you know. It's
might be the worst by now.
And the new cases rate hasn't slowed down for like the last month. The US has been getting 30,000 more or less new cases every day, and their testing regime is shit. So the actual infection rate is going to be many times higher than that. But even that, it's tiny. Like, so the confirmed cases in the US, population 320 million. The confirmed cases aren't even 1 million yet. They're 850,000. So the confirmed cases are less than 1/3 of 1% of the population, right? Tiny. And people are saying the real number is probably significantly higher, but 3% of the population. And there's probably a lot of deaths that aren't being recorded as well. But you're going, okay, 3% of the population doesn't sound so good. But yeah, the experts are saying the final number of infections are fucking probably going to be 75%. And we've only got 3% so far. It's like, no, we're not even at the beginning of the beginning. Yeah. Like people say, like, what stage of the movie are we at? Like, well, okay, with the disaster movies, it starts with people not believing the scientists. We're still there. We're not even at the end of the first act of the movie. The first act of the movie ends up with someone dying that the protagonist cared about. So we haven't reached that stage where people accept how serious it is yet. We're still at the opening scenes where no one believes the scientists who tell them something bad's going to happen. And
isn't the first sign of grief denial?
Oh, absolutely, yes. And then the first act ends when people start to understand how many people are actually going to die. And the second act is where it all gets out of control. And the third act is when you finally get a handle on things. Mm-hmm. But we're not even at the end of the first act. We're at the beginning of the beginning now. And people are acting like we're at the end. I'm like, no, buddy, no, we're at the beginning of the beginning. David, I'm very sad to hear that. Your mum passed away, non-COVID related. Yeah, no, absolutely sucks ass. Being an orphan myself, it's not great. It is not great, buddy. It's one of those things in this world. What's the saying? Death and taxes. You can't avoid either of them. They both catch up with you eventually. And yeah, that's not great. So yeah, I hope you work your way through it, man, because it's just a question of time. There's like nothing that changes how much it sucks. 91 is a good run, definitely. But that doesn't. It never doesn't suck. It always sucks. But yeah. All that's left now is the time. Mm. But yes. So we're saying Safa, Spanish flu finished in 1919. Yes, a few people have shown they've been trying to warn people with examples of the 1918 flu. Because there were cases like, yeah, the war is over, let's celebrate and have a big party in the streets. And cities that did that then had a spike in deaths that were way worse than anything that had happened in the years previous. It's kind of like the death rate started going up and they managed to get it under some sort of control, and everyone went, it's under control. Then there was this second wave that was way worse than the first one. So yes, we don't want that to happen again, although in some places it looks almost unavoidable, you know.
I've got a friend who's in America. I've never met her in real life, but she's autistic, and she just sent a post to Facebook saying she's in hospital with COVID, and she's really scared.
Yeah.
And none of her family are allowed to come and see her.
No one's allowed to come and see you. No.
Yeah, but can you imagine being autistic and terrifying. Poor thing.
Yeah.
I hope she can relax somehow. I hope that, you know, there are some good nurses around her who can understand her. Poor thing.
Yeah, no, that is not good. And kids who get taken into hospital, if they get a bad case of it, they don't get to see their parents. You imagine as a kid being taken off in an ambulance by strangers, and then in a room, and they go, where's mummy and daddy? You're not seeing mummy and daddy, okay? It's like, oh my God, the trauma, the additional trauma that goes.
Yeah.
Well, I just saw a video of a 4-year-old boy in America who got it, and thankfully his mother was a doctor and actually managed to stay with him.
Oh, well, that's good if the parent's actually a doctor, yeah.
And it was just like horrible getting because he had the opinion going, as a doctor, I understand that it's just gonna take time, but that parent in me going, what the fuck do I do? My kid's basically coughing up a lung.
Yeah, no, not. Yeah.
Well, that's why I've got all this stuff.
I'm now fascinated. Okay.
I got such a good kit.
Oh wow! Oh wow! And then automated cocktail with that.
Apparently, this one is fun.
Oh right, it's one of those ones. Yeah.
So we've got 2 bottles of this one.
Pseudoephedrine one or something, is it?
Yeah.
No, I think it's got something trippy in it.
Yeah.
So my kid tells me.
What's the active ingredient?
Let me see.
What does it say?
Ingredients. It says if you're taking medication for depression, psychiatric or emotional conditions, yada, 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 SSRIs and stuff, yeah, you should stop your medication. Dear me, maybe this is the wrong one to get.
Ooh.
But I do have a different one as well. I've got some Codral. I've got Betadine. Gargle.
Is that the original Codral?
Where are we?
It's got to say original.
I've got this Codral.
Yeah, that's the fake new one.
I'm not sure. I have this. This is what the chemist told me to get. But it's not telling me what the active ingredients is, which is, well, I can't find it.
Yeah. You know,
so that sounds good.
Doesn't actually.
I got something else as well.
What else? It doesn't turn out that well. What? A pulse
oximeter.
What does that do?
Okay, I'm not sure, but I got 2 of them. One for me and one for my mum.
Okay.
I think it takes your pulse, and if it does something wrong, it beeps.
Okay.
Something like that.
Probably gives you blood oxygenation as well.
Yes, that was it, oxygenation.
Okay.
Because that's what the oxy bit on the meter. And, the New York mayor whose brother's got COVID. Yeah, he was saying, everybody get these, they're really good, it means I'm not dying. And I thought, wow,
nice.
I will.
That's pretty good then. I think it usually ends badly if you go to a chemist and say, can I have a cough medicine that makes you trip balls if you drink the whole bottle?
Why
they don't like that.
Why go to the chemist when I can just get my little basket here?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll put it right up here. You can take a nice screenshot of it.
I couldn't quite read that. That's okay. My old eyes. Day cough. Yeah, if it's a day one, they tend to be something like pseudoephedrine in them. Whereas night ones have something in it. Either they don't have the pseudoephedrine or they have something to knock you out in them. The American ones are apparently really full on.
Dextromethorphanhydrobromide.
Yeah, it sounds like meth. I heard meth in there.
Yeah, I heard Dexy.
Yeah, Dexies and meth. Annette's getting high on Dexies and meth there.
Well, I haven't tried it yet.
Let's make a cocktail. Yes.
Dexies and meth.
Dexies and meth cocktail. Oh my God, that's such a. Hey, it's bedtime. Geez, that second hour raced by. I didn't even notice.
Oh.
Well, I'm going to go because look, okay. It's in my skeleton. Before I go, I'm just going to see if it shows up glow in the dark at all because it should have.
Make your screen bigger.
Okay, wait a second. I'm going to turn the light out. Yeah, where am I?
Oh, there we are. Yep, you're glowing.
Yeah, it kind of does. It could just be the light of the screen.
No, the light's picking it up, but it still looks cool.
No, it's a skeleton. Oh.
You should attach glow sticks to the ribs and stuff.
Yes.
What is this, right?
All right, I'm going to go to bed. I'm going to turn the light on because I'll fall over if I don't. Oh, no, it is glowing. Sorry, I just noticed as I walked across the room. Not glowing enough for the camera to pick it up. The ring light on the camera was illuminating the thing, but it does glow a bit. Oh, good. Okay, I'm going to go to bed. Thank you, one and all. Marvelous Onesie Wednesday.
Good night.
Bye.
Take care, everyone. See you again soon, but bye for now.
Bye.